Hello, my fellow seekers. Welcome to Into the Work, therapy for empaths, seekers, and the intuitively driven, where you have front row seats to therapy sessions and expert interviews that will help you define the important work that you're here to do. So I guess you actually have something better than front row seats. You practically have a seat on my couch. That's right, you will have unrestricted access to actual sessions with real people, exploring real life issues. You will continue to be inspired by powerful conversations with experts and healers that might just share exactly what it is that you need to hear to get unstuck. I am Michelle Pauverman. I am a recovering people pleaser and former anxiety-driven empath, turned now mostly grounded psychotherapist and intuitive coach. I have been helping people for almost 20 years manage their limiting beliefs and anxiety to finally stop the self-sabotage and step into their gifts. I created this podcast, Into the Work, to give you a place to learn more about yourself and give you actionable strategies to finally move those roadblocks holding you back so you can go for what you want. Above all else, my hope is that this podcast is a catalyst for your awakening. If you're listening, you've already taken a step towards getting off of autopilot, and our next steps together will be taken episode by episode, waking you up to the possibilities, the new ways of thinking and being, so that you can stretch into that next level of your story. The spark has already been lit, and my friend, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's light a fire. Hello and welcome back to the show. I have been wanting to have this discussion with you for some time now, and I imagine it will branch out into many more episodes, and it's probably been sprinkled in some of the other episodes we've done, but today we are talking about the power of your emotions on your physical health. As a healer and therapist, I have worked on and with thousands of people who were seeking healing for multiple reasons. And what I can tell you is that emotions definitely change how vital energy flows in the body. I can also substantiate that unprocessed or unresolved emotions do in fact reside in the body. That is my wholehearted experience and truth. And also around the body in your energy field, but we're going to keep it simple today and just focus on the emotions in your body. And honestly, when resolved, when people can resolve the emotions, meaning they can release them as if they were trapped, is another word we look at it, a block, a trapped emotion. But we look at releasing it, resolving it, transmuting it. I have seen countless people shift their physical health symptoms. So if you're curious about the role our chakras play in managing our emotions and our physical health, check out my last episode, number 29, Heal Your Health Issues by Understanding Your Chakra Story. We're not going to talk about the chakras today, but they do play a role in managing the emotions and your energy and your physical health, and that will really help you kind of dive into looking at your own physical health stuff. But today, I want to explore this possibility for you, this idea, this knowing that your body is hardwired to heal in many ways. Your body can heal itself. And today's episode, you're going to begin to imagine the immense role that emotions are playing in your own health. I really learned the power of this work myself firsthand back in 2014. And when I was out for a run one day, my leg went numb. Now, I describe it like I had to drag it up two of these massive hills. They are big hills to get to my house. And while I had some balance in it, I remember it was really scary. It sort of slowly turned numb. Like I was having weird sensations, and then it got worse and worse as the run went on, and I was kind of farther enough from home that it was a big deal. And I had to sort of drag it up these hills. I could use it for balance, but I didn't trust it. So it was like this weird hopping, dragging thing that I was doing. And then I would stop and sit, and then I would try again. It was so crazy. And honestly, I'm going to even tell you where my mind was at that point. I remember feeling embarrassed and anxious about how I must have appeared to people passing me by. I remember being super embarrassed. And then I checked myself. Why in the world am I focused on that right now? And the longer I tried walking home and just tried to get myself home, and it harder and harder it became, it really sank in. This isn't normal, Michelle. Like this is something potentially really serious. And the strangest thing happened is when I got home, it actually recovered and returned back to normal. And that was after just a couple hours. So very strange. And that was the very beginning of my own personal deep dive into my own health journey. I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. I was riddled with mold, off the charts in my body. And that went on for years of just battling some of these things. My body was signaling that it was not okay. I had chronically been facing issues for a while before that even happened to me. So my body was breaking down in a lot of ways, and it really was signaling to me that I was not okay. But to me in my head, all these chronic issues, I just thought, well, that's my luck. That's who I am. I'm sensitive. That's what I just kept saying. I'm sensitive. And as the years passed, I did a lot of things. I did the antibiotics, the herbs, the supplements, the tonics, the detox baths, the biofeedback, the pulse electromagnetic fields, such as on-demand and Rife machines. I dabbled in so many things. I spent so much money on my own health journey, and I don't regret any of them, because so many things really played a role in my healing. And I am so grateful for all the things that I did, especially the herbs. They were really powerful. And the people along the way were angels that helped me. But really, when I jumped into learning Reiki a second time and really going all in on Reiki and doing the classes, even though I was very sick, and that right after I finished my Reiki classes, I joined a 3-year energy medicine school. And that really kicked my energetic ass. And that really kicked my emotional ass and really got me to look at the real problems for my health. It didn't matter. I mean, it could have been Lyme, it could have been mold, it could have been anything, honestly. It was my body signaling about the emotions that were in there that needed to be tended to. And here I am, right? I'm a mind-body therapist. I thrive and just eat up that information, love it. I'm so into it. I'm so knowledgeable about it. And I was still really struggling. So I understood the immense connection between the body and the mind. And it was still so murky for me to deal with my own crisis. So I share this with you because if you happen to find yourself in your own crisis, you can be so ridiculously smart about all this stuff, and it's still so murky for you to be in it with your own stuff, your own crisis. So that is not abnormal. Eventually, I learned to live my life with a new relationship to my body. And this was key. It still is to this day, by the way. It is a relationship that recognizes that all physical illnesses in the body, all of them, is a cry for help. It is a signal that something needs to change and attention is needed in the department of emotional healing. It is your emotions waving a big white flag asking for help. And we don't recognize. It seems like such an easy thing to say, oh, yes, you have stuffed emotions in the body, but it is complicated and it's deep and it's also very simple, yes, where this stuff is true. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit today with you. So let's take a deeper look at what we know about emotions in the body. I recently heard Brandy Gilmore. She's an author and speaker on the topic. She pointed out something that I had known, but I never made the true connection until she pointed it out. And I remember thinking about this before, but I love that statement when we say all learning is remembering, and it's so true, right? So for me, I heard this and it was like, wow, I need to share this with you guys. So she pointed out that large body of research, and there's actually a lot of research out there on people who experience what we refer to as dissociative identity disorder. It used to be called multiple personality disorder. And these people who struggle with dissociative identity, DID or MPD, so it's DID now, who have multiple states of consciousness. So they have multiple personalities. But in each state of consciousness, they can have totally separate health issues. There are documented people who are legally blind in one personality and can see just fine in the rest. There are many documented cases where people with DID experience dramatically different illnesses and physical issues from the other parts of themselves. So I had the opportunity, I don't know, I'm just sticking this in here because it was a really interesting and beautiful and sad experience. But I had the opportunity to work with a couple of people, individuals with DID, and it was quite incredible how much a person can change before your eyes as they shift into a different personality or part. I was working with a woman once who was probably between 30 and 35. And I was assisting in an art therapy group, and she started drawing. And within a minute or two, her 6 or 7-year-old self came out, this other part, this other personality. And this level of consciousness, this personality was 6 years old. And literally before my eyes, I saw a 6-year-old. I went from seeing a 35-year-old to seeing a 6-year-old myself, experiencing her as 6. Everything changed about her. It was just a fascinating experience for me to really see the power of the mind and how it can really just take over an entire person and change everything. What we do know is that in DID, a person's psyche can split in order to manage a trauma or multiple traumas. And each part of the personality that splits, each part that develops, has its own way of managing different parts of their life, different feelings and experiences they're in charge of. And each separate personality has access to separate emotions that can lead to separate physical issues, which is fascinating for you and me. And what's fascinating about this for you is, let's say you're struggling with a chronic health issue. What if you could change your personality to be somebody who is healthy? How fascinating is that? That is the capability of our minds on our body. Now, when we look at research on optimism that teaches us that people that are categorically optimistic heal faster, there's a lot of stuff out there that supports this, a lot of solid research that shows that the more optimistic you are, the faster you heal. And when we are more negative, you're a slow healer. Now, if you followed Joe Dispenza at all, he's well known, well established. You probably have already heard of him. He's really great, and he helped me a lot in my healing journey back in the day. Joe talks about, he's done a lot of his own research. He's done some incredible research. He's worked with the Heart Math Institute and done some really great stuff. And he did incredible research that showed us that 10 minutes a day, really listen to this, 10 minutes a day of gratitude releases a chemical called your immunoglobulin IgA. Now, IgA and IgG are what we do to measure. You've probably heard of that at the doctor's office. We measure that to see the function of your immune system. 10 minutes of gratitude a day releases more IgA. Now, this is your primary defense against bacteria and viruses. Now, 10 minutes of gratitude a day. Now, he does gratitude like he trains his people that go into this test, right? So he trains people how to hold gratitude. So when I say gratitude, I mean you're in it and feeling it, not like, oh, I should be grateful, right? Like you literally have harnessed the energy of gratitude in your body. Your heart is open. You're feeling, maybe your eyes are tearing up because you're picturing your beautiful baby or your daughter, your son, your best friend, the people you love, and you're pulling up so much gratitude for this life, whatever that is, joy, love, and you're pulling up this higher vibrational feeling. Your IgA starts to skyrocket and it goes up and up. And what's really cool is if done for 4 days, it can raise your IgA by 50%. Your immune system is functioning higher by 50%. Now, interestingly enough, other research points out that 10 minutes of anger, impatience, frustration, fear, all those negative feelings, turns on 1,200 different chemicals in your body that cause your body to mobilize energy and suppress the immune system. significantly. Wild, right? Now ask yourself, do you spend more time in negative emotions and thought loops or high vibrational love, gratitude, and joy, right? How is your immune system working out? So fascinating how big the connection is between your physical body, your thoughts, and your emotions. So many of my clients live in a chronically stressed out state. Now, some who come in, this is also my work. I don't act like I'm above it all, but some of us who come in to see me, or some people who come in to see me, are aware that this is happening. They recognize I'm just really chronically stressed. Many, though, don't. They don't actually even realize it. They've been living this way for so long. It's actually what they see as normal, and that life is this hard. They really see life as hard. And so they, coming to this realization is a really big deal, to give them some hope that there's something they can do about it. When people are in a chronically stressed out state, we can see with medical machines that measure, we can actually see that your autonomic nervous system revs up, the sympathetic part that just gets you activated, that, sending, like we talked about, sending all those chemicals all over the body to mobilize energy and suppress your immune system. All of that is happening when you're in this sympathetic state. And then you're supposed to be able to go into this relaxed state as soon as whatever danger is over. And a lot of us, and I want you to check yourself here to really recognize, how often are you more stressed? Chronically stressed people, we can see on these measured in these machines, we call it the parasympathetic. I don't want to get too technical, but the parasympathetic part of your autonomic nervous system is supposed to shut down the sympathetic part. So all those chemicals being dumped will stop and everything will happen, so the body starts going into the relaxation response and you're calm again and everything is safe and you're able to think clearly and everything just feels really grounded and you're better. And here's the thing, a lot of us, they see on the machines when we do tests on people that parasympathetic only shuts down for sometimes just even a few minutes. And the other thing, the other system, the sympathetic system, bounces back on. So we really can't be in a relaxed state for very long, especially if you're busy. But these are even measured off people who are just lying down and relaxing. So I mention all this. I know that's kind of a lot, but I mention all this so that you can kind of have an idea of what might be going on in your body. If you're somebody that does have a hard time relaxing and does have a hard time shutting down. Now, this is important too. I want you just to imagine there is a connection between what happens to us during a trauma and when someone is chronically stressed. With trauma, we hope that it resolves itself and you reacclimate to life and you no longer seem to have this high level symptoms. And just as a side note, remember when you are thinking of your own life, a trauma is not defined by what happened to you, but rather how you responded to the things that happened to you in life. So not what happened to you, but how you responded to the things that happened. I actually worked with someone whose brother was kidnapped and abducted when they were younger. They grew up in another country, and this happened frequently. And I think he was like maybe 10 or 12. But she was from another country where this happens frequently. And I remember the day she was going to share the story with me. And she was so hesitant because it was so hard for her to talk to me about it. Not because it was such a big deal to her, honestly. It was because she knew I was going to make a really big deal of it. She'd had these experiences with the therapists that assign every issue she had to this trauma of having her brother kidnapped. But here's the deal. She said, I wasn't even really worried about him. I knew he'd be back. She said, Americans don't understand that, but this is part of our life. These things happen. We had to do A, B, C, and D and then get him back. And I share this to point out, just because something seems traumatic, it doesn't mean that it is trauma. And on the flip side, when something happens to you in your life, which seems like you should be just fine, it doesn't mean that you are. It's not the event, but rather your response to the things that happen in life. So it depends on how you metabolize the emotions and how they impact you moving forward to know whether or not you're stuffing and trapping and holding these emotions. With past traumatic events, even though it seems resolved, because you pushed through and moved on, these pushed down emotions can still be behind the patterns of negativity and pain for years. When something really big happens that's really traumatic and difficult, there's only so much we can do to break it down and experience all these emotions. It's tough, right? So yes, we are built for this. And yes, we are in this life and we are made to be here in this life and experience all the things. But when big stuff happens, sometimes we really cannot truly process and experience and get what we need from these emotions and release them. So most of us are stuffing some of these emotions of things that happen throughout life. And by stuffing, I mean pushing down. And so when you did your best and you push through, and it's highly likely these emotions got pushed back down, held, energetically taking up space, staying stuck on your system. And what's happening is they're blocking the way that you are holding energy that feeds your muscles, that feeds your organs, that fights disease, and how your body manages your stress and all those things. It changes it. And so now that we have considered traumatic events as a cause for trapped emotions, I just want to quickly get back to also your potential chronic emotional stress, because it's also a problem we want to pay attention to. Because as a sensitive, empathic person, my friend, to live in a state of frequent emergencies, honestly, it's real or imagined. Running late for work could be in your body a complete emergency. Anger, resentment, fear, internal pressure, self-criticism, all those things can feel like they let the alarms go off and things aren't okay. All of it with any frequency is triggering a cascade of events in your body. So particularly strong negative emotions can influence the genes that create disease. So we can keep influencing our physical health when we have, sometimes addictive, patterns of negative thinking and feeling. That is true. So now let's talk about some of the hopeful stuff. Because you can condition yourself to change your whole future, how your body and how your emotions and how you're thinking will shape your whole life in a new way. Your whole future can change. It's so impactful, but it is a lot of work and it takes time. I believe in a two-step approach to doing the work of healing the body through healing these blocked emotions. So let me tell you the first two steps. First and foremost, we need to radically shift our thinking and the quality of the emotions we spend time feeling. Do you know, can you imagine this? Most people can only tolerate happiness so much. There's like a limit most of us have. You likely have your own limit to how happy you're allowed to be. And by the way, for how long? Just do a little research on yourself. Next time you feel joy or lighthearted happiness, notice, when does it stop? What changed? You may just be able to learn your own limits when you're sabotaging it all, so you can begin to challenge yourself to hold it for longer and to heal the things that are getting in the way. I mean, when people are asked, how comfortable would you be being happy 90% of the time, some people are a little uncomfortable with that. In fact, if I said to you, I have a magic wand and I'm going to wave this magic wand over your head, and from this point forward, that magic wand is going to allow you to be happy 100% of the time. So that means not experiencing anxiety, fear, all the negative stuff that might be sabotaging you. Would you say yes to that? Some people wouldn't. I mean, their first thought is, of course I would. And then they think about it. And then they're like, well, actually, that would be a little weird. They think, I don't know if that's safe. I could be taken advantage of. I won't know if somebody is doing me wrong because I'll be happy. I won't know it. There's all these protective measures they start feeling and attachments they have to their negative thinking. And it's really fascinating. There are some studies on that as well. But it's really fascinating for you to think about how happy are you willing to be? And pay attention when you might be sabotaging it. It's like when you finally have some time alone with your partner and you're like, putting all this energy into going out or doing something together, and it's been a while and you're having this time together and you sabotage it by picking the fight, right? It's like we have a hard time sometimes truly allowing ourselves to stay at a high level. And so second, you need to learn how to address painful emotions in such a way that is productive and allows them to be released from the body. Stuffing doesn't work. Dumping, complaining, venting, they do not work. They are toxic in nature. They make things worse. So you really are wanting to learn, how do I address these painful, trapped, stuck, blocked emotions in my body in such a way that it can be productive, so that it actually releases them from the body and allows them to be useful, because they really are here to be useful. We think of them as evil and horrible, these negative things, but they are also can be useful. And then learning to tolerate happiness and create more happiness and allow that to last longer, and to really bring some diligence and some discipline into allowing the sabotage to come in and get in the way of the happiness, because it does take some discipline. So I have created a practice that I teach my clients to release trapped emotions on their own, and it can provide incredible relief. It's even possible to have shifts in the physical body as well after practicing it, especially when you get good at it. Some people are good at it from the start. It's just easy for them. And some people have to practice it a bit and build the muscles. I call it an emotional intuition practice for healing the body and the mind, because it is also practicing the ask and receive muscle of intuition, which is really beautiful and an awesome skill for you to have that will also benefit you so much. But as empaths, emotions are really one of your superpowers, and so very important that you clear your vessel, because you are even more susceptible to holding a lot of emotions in the body. And intuition is a second superpower. Working on these two together will really help you heal on so many levels. So I have created a very brief video to walk you through this very simple process step by step, so that you can start releasing trapped emotions on your own. And the link is in the show notes, and you can sign up at michellepopperman.com. And you can grab this free video for yourself and start doing the work whenever you want, and just really start practicing some of these very simple steps that you can do to start releasing things from the body. So go to the show notes, grab your free emotional intuition download. I hope this was helpful, got your brain thinking of different ways in which you might be also needing to look at the emotions that you're holding and how they're impacting your well-being. And that is the first step, my friend, is becoming more and more self-aware so that you can show up and you can make a difference. I really want for this episode to sink in that when you have physical stuff showing up, it is a white flag, it is a call for help, it is an emotional root of the body. That's what we say, all illness is emotionally rooted in the body. And that you can recognize that and start to become curious. That is like ginormous first step. So I hope this has been helpful. Have a beautiful week. I'll look forward to talking with you again next week. Be well, and bye for now. Thank you for listening to Into the Work Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. Don't forget to grab your free gift, your Shadow Work Transformation Bundle, at michellepopperman.com. I've included everything you need to get started to break through the patterns of self-sabotage and finally start to heal the parts of yourself that are getting in the way of truly reaching your potential. From a powerful meditation designed to help you meet and embrace your shadow self, to the guide that's full of curated prompts and important questions to support you on this journey. This really can be the work for you to unmask the root cause of all the issues you've been experiencing, honestly, and start to feel free to believe in yourself and go for what you want. The link for this free bundle is in the show notes. And if you like this episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment and rate, click and follow, and leave a review. Of course, you can always follow me on socials at Michelle Popperman. And keep in mind, as you embark on your journey from spark to brilliance, Remember, the universe is always conspiring in favor of your awakening. Everything that's happening is in support of you lighting your own fire within. So until we meet again, may your path be well lit and your heart be guided. Shine bright, seekers. Until next time.